Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to today's virtual training on how to become a listing magnet. This is one I'm very excited about because I get this question often: how did I transition into a listing agent, as well as how do sellers call me? Because the agents that work with me know I don't really pay for Zillow, never have. I don't cold call or door knock, and I've never farmed. So going over this is pretty exciting because I will share my playbook of what worked for me, and definitely will tell you guys all the little steps that I took and I still take today in helping attract sellers to me. So everyone, I'm Olivier Lewis with RE/MAX First Realty 2 in Cranford, and my partner, Carl Sanfilippo, is usually doing these, and we alternate of RE/MAX First Realty in East Brunswick, and we're excited again to kick off our training on becoming a listing magnet. So please, guys, sign in through YouTube or your Google so that you can place comments. I will definitely answer any questions, so if you guys have questions, please type them in, but you need to be signed in order to see that comment box pop up and allow for your comments and questions to be seen. So I want to kick it off with a little bit of my backstory before I jump into the presentation. And I started as an agent in 2008. I started selling homes. I came from being an ISA the 4 years prior. So I thought being an ISA, picking up the phone, making 100 calls a day, I would come out as a listing agent and really crush it and make calls and just dominate. 2008, no expireds, no FSBOs. We're dealing with a market that crashed. So I had to start working with buyers because there weren't enough seller opportunities to call. I start working with buyers, that snowballs. I sell a decent amount of homes, and I noticed around 2012, I started getting calls from my 2008, 2009, 2010, et cetera, sales of they're looking to move. The homes didn't work, locations didn't work, and that really spiraled into picking up a listing here, picking up a listing there, and then I started getting sign calls from those listings. So I learned that you don't really need the ISA. I didn't need to cold call and door knock and try the gimmicks. I just had to sell a lot of homes. So I'm going to be covering some of that today with you guys, that there's no magic pill, there's no magic wand, there's no secret sauce to becoming a listing agent and attracting sellers to you. It's all these little steps that you have to take, be consistent with, and definitely implement in your business that's going to help you get there. So, as I mentioned, there's no gimmicks, no hard work. We all see these and get these calls, but we all see these ads that pop up or get these emails that are sign up, $29.99, 6-month commitment, and we're going to get you seller leads. Guys, that stuff doesn't work. If it did, everyone will double, triple down, 10x it, and throw everything at it and just generate seller leads and become that listing magnet. And I know as agents, we tend to have this philosophy: well, if it's only $30 or it's only $300 a month and it generates a seller lead for me or generates seller leads, if this thing works, I only have to close one and it's paid for itself, right? And everything else is profit. So you try that, then you try something else. Next thing you know, at the end of the year, you spent $20,000 to $30,000 trying stuff out. And again, there's no shortcut to this. It's not going to be your Zillow spend. So we've all gotten those calls from Zillow, Trulia, all these third-party vendors that, hey, we have a seller lead platform, we're try it out, it's $250 a month, $300 a month, 6-month commitment, and you only need one, and that's their kind of pitch. You only need one and it pays for itself, the rest is gravy. Guys, if that stuff worked, again, we throw 10x at it and just max it out and buy everything we could, but it doesn't. It's not the billboards. I know a lot of agents have come to me saying, hey, I want a billboard. I think that's going to change my business. That's not. That reinforces your presence, and it definitely helps if you already have a presence. But I'm sure we've all seen a new agent that put a billboard up, and you're like, who's that? Right? And if you say that, I don't see that that's going to get your phones ringing off the hook, that you have no presence, and just because your billboard's in one place, that's going to be the thing that changes your business. It's not your brand. The brand definitely helps get you in the door. It definitely does, but you can't say, hey, if I switch offices to here, or my brand should be getting me all these listings, because whatever brand it is, even if you're an independent, there's hundreds, if not thousands of agents that work there too, right? So it's not gonna be the brand that's gonna be the magnet. It's gonna open up doors, but that's not the magnet. It's not the one-time mailer, right? You just listed, just sold something, and you're like, I'm gonna just blast the neighborhood. That one-time event, that one-time mailer is not going to be the magnet. Yes, I've seen agents that sent the one-time mailer and they got a listing out of it or they got a buyer out of it. Great, but that's not going to be the thing that changes your business if you're not doing it consistently. So it's not the one-time mailer. It's not the Aston Martin, sorry, clicker, I hit a little too fast. Last thing is, it's not the car. This is very, very important because agents tend to invest in shiny objects that they feel will help their business. So they'll go out and get the nice new luxury car and say, and justify it with, you know, it's gonna look more professional, I'm gonna look more accomplished, and it's gonna drive business to me. But a lot of those agents won't invest in their business, into the tools that will actually help them grow their business. So it's not the Aston Martin guys, it's not the flashy objects, it's basically investing in admin support so you can be in front of clients more, so you can follow up more, so you can do the little steps and the details that it takes to attract people to you and connect with clients. That's more important than the flashy car. You know, some people might be turned off by the flashy car because if they're a blue-collar worker and they've worked and saved so much for their home, and then you show up and you want to charge them 6%, and they hear that you're charging them $40,000 or $50,000 to sell their house, or $30,000, whatever, the $20,000, whatever the number is, that might turn them off. So, because they may feel that they're paying for that car. So it's not always the flashy objects, guys, that are going to drive it. And instead of looking at and justifying it to yourself, the new car is going to be it. Look at what can I use that money towards, like admin, like lead gen, which allows you to obviously make money, and it's tangible. You can calculate and monetize, and quantify what you're getting out of that investment. So the accomplishment of, sorry, I'm having clicker issues this morning. The accomplishment of many goals in the progressive accumulation or compound effect of small steps taken over time is what will get it done. You have to accomplish these little goals, do it over time, follow through, be consistent, and that's what gets it done. And that's a quote from Darren Hardy. He wrote a great book, which I'll tell you about in a couple slides. Consistency is key. One of the main things is consistency. Like I said, the one-time mailer will not work. It's the consistency of mailing over and over and farming them over a long period of time that works, right? So consistency is key. There's no elevator to get there. There's no shortcut. There is no way to microwave it, right? There's no way to hit that 30-second button and get there fast. You have to be consistent. You have to be patient. You have to wait for this to blossom. I know it because I've been there. Everything I'm going to talk about today is what has helped me. And at peak, guys, I winded up selling 50 listings a year. And again, that's no cold calling, no door knocking, no Zillow spend. And sellers were attracted to me because of the consistency of many of the things I'm going to talk about. So, quick tip, don't spend your time trying to figure out ways to avoid it. The work has to get done. There is no way to avoid the work. It has to get done. I have a saying that there's 3 types of agents. The high producing agents get the painful things done and they get the work done. Now, granted, you get to a certain level, it may not always be that agent. They may have a team, they may have admin, they may have ISAs, but the work gets done. The average agents, they come out of a Tony Robbins event or some kind of coaching session and they're rah, 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 and they actually focus and they start to do the work and then it tails off. And that's what makes them average. And the agents that struggle, they avoid the work. They try to figure out a way around it. They try to reinvent the wheel. They look for that microwave. They look for that shortcut. They look for ways around doing the work. And that's what they struggle with. And they put this block up that they can't get ahead of or around. And that's why there is no shortcut. You got to get the work done. Going back a little bit to my story, because I actually spun off of it, but when I realized that these little things I did is what drew sellers to me, and you have to track it, guys. Whatever you do, whether it's sellers, buyers, you're spending money on Zillow, you're working some kind of lead system, even your referrals, you have to track. So once I tracked where my clients were coming from, it was great to know that it was from my past sales. I really focused on those relationships. And those relationships is what helped me continue to build this, and the magnet grew. So it's your content, right? It's your relationship building. So your message is key. Do you make a great first impression with consumers? So I'm a seller. I go online, I need to sell my home, and I start looking up agents, and whatever site I go on, I look up who's local, who sold more. I'm trying to figure out who to go to. You know, I see Olivier Lewis or whoever it is. I look, does that person make a great first impression? Is that someone I want to work with? Is their profile, is what I'm seeing enticing me to want to call them, right? Clients want to know who you are, what you bring to the table, and that's how they kind of make a decision of, should I work with you? Should I make that call? And guys, we all can agree, it starts online, right? The seller is not necessarily calling you from a signed call. I think those numbers are few and far between. They're going online. They're looking for agents. They're looking for who's local. They're Googling agents. And once they see someone, you gotta trust me that they will Google you. They will look you up before they call you. So if your messaging and your content isn't consistent with what sellers look for, guess what? They're not calling. I am sure and certain that there's been sellers that have looked up an agent who has sold a couple homes, or they saw a sign or a couple signs in the neighborhood, and they Googled that agent to get the phone number when they got home, or from their cell phone, and they landed on something with social media, or they landed on a website that's stale and 10 years old, and guess what? They did not call that agent. So your messaging, your content has to be consistent, and it has to be very clear and in line with what sellers look for. And that's a very, very important part to this. All these little pieces is part of the puzzle, guys. And ultimately, that's the big puzzle that we solve of how to become the listing magnet. So quick tip, be relatable, be authentic, show that you're local, show your skills, keep it simple. Also, you have to post. Like I mentioned, if you have a site or you have a social media page that's 10 years old and you haven't posted, or you created it and you don't like to share, and they see that your last post was X amount of years ago, or it's something that's outdated, that's not going to help you, because they're going to think you're not connected, you're not in tune with social media, you're not keeping up with today's consumer. So keep that in mind, guys. You have to post, and you have to post often. So what does your profile say about you in following through with the messaging and the content, right? Are you the buyer specialist, listing consultant, commercial expert, luxury agent that does foreclosures and is the short sale king or queen? Guys, that does not work. You're all over the place. That message does not resonate well with the seller, because my home isn't commercial. I'm on a nice tree-lined street, right? My home is not a foreclosure. It's in great shape, right? So you have to tune in to what sellers are looking for. You're a listing agent, right? You're not the short sale person that also does luxury that can help you with your commercial and can rent it out for you, because I also do rentals. You can't be all over the place. Your profile needs to be very, very clear of what you do, what you offer, and what your skills are. Yes, we do work with all of these things, absolutely, but just put yourself in the seller's shoes. If you have a nice high-end home, do you want someone that's profile is talking about short sales? You may not even know what they are, foreclosures and commercial when you're on a nice tree-lined street. You have to take that into account, right? If you want to be the magnet, guys, it has to be sharp as far as what your profile is and what you're trying to attract. You're still going to get the buyer, the rentals, all this other stuff. But I think if you focus in on, I'm a listing agent, I work with sellers, that's what a seller wants to see. Not that you do foreclosures, REO this, short sale this, commercial this. That's not what they're looking for. You know, is your old career, what you did prior to real estate, or hobbies, taking up some of that space online? And I'll give you guys a quick story. An agent worked with me, sent me an email after joining, and in her email, and she was a very accomplished accountant, prior career, completely switched full-time into real estate, but very accomplished accountant prior. In her email, it says, you know, MBA, CPA, along with realtor. It's this long email, and I reached out to her and said, hey, you may want to remove that stuff. I get it, you know, congratulations, you did very well, you have your MBA, you were a great accountant, but let's focus on real estate if you're using this email for work. And that agent said to me, well, you know, I think it helps, it works with numbers, I want to keep it. And I said, you know, no problem. Fast forward about 4 months later, in the office, she says, you know what, I'm in this BNI group and I never got a referral from them. Mind you, I've referred over and over, so I asked them, hey guys, how come I've never gotten a referral and I'm always referring to you guys? And the BNI group said, yeah, we're not really sure. You're a full-time realtor, full-time accountant, do you do both? So we're not really sure. And at that moment, she had a conversation with them and said, no, I'm a full-time realtor. I just value my education and what I did prior, and I think it helps a little bit, but I am a full-time realtor. She immediately removed that, and the next meeting, which was a month later, she got 2 referrals from this BNI group. So guys, if you have an old career, if you have a hobby, whether it's doing taxes, whether you were a beautician or you're a barber on the side, whatever it is, do not cloud the space of your profile with something else, right? If I'm looking to buy stocks and I go to hire a financial advisor to advise me on what stocks to buy, I don't want to know that they cut hair on the side. And nothing against beauticians and barbers, but I want someone that's focused on what the task is. I want them to be doing learning the financial market and learning and investing in stocks and investigating stocks all day long, 50 hours a week, because that's going to make them an expert. I don't want the person that dabbles in this, right? So once you kind of cloud your profile with, I did this, or I do this, and I'm also a realtor, most people that don't know you, that will not help, because no one wants their biggest asset, their $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 home being handled by someone that's focused on it part-time, right? So keep that in mind. Nothing against your accomplishments and how successful you were in a prior career, but a seller is concerned about what you're doing now and what you can do now for them. Does your profile scream you're a professional that should be in charge of their biggest asset? It's a big question. I've seen agent profiles where, you know, you get a friend request. I'm sure some of you watching this has happened to. You get a friend request from another agent and you look up their profile and there's nothing, right? There's nothing that screams real estate. You see a house, maybe, but you see them golfing, you see them at the restaurant, you see a family member, and you're saying to yourself, who is this person? What do they do? So you wind up accepting them just to see if there's more, and there's still no more, right? And then you go in their profile and about me, there's nothing there. Their handle is like, you know, Banana Joe or whatever, and you can't tell what they do. Well, does your profile describe what you do? Is it professional? A seller should be able to look you up because they do Google you, they will Google you and see that Olivier sells real estate and know right away I'm an agent. Right? So does your profile say that? Is it a professional profile? I've also seen realtors where it is not professional. You know, there's grammar mistakes on their profile, it's incomplete, doesn't say enough, or there's just pictures that are not appropriate for a seller to see and really not something you'd show on an interview and show off. It shouldn't be there. So keep that in mind. If you want to share, and you want to share, you know, the double fisting of shots and all that fun stuff, have it on a separate page, have it somewhere that it's harder to find, not just with your name. And I get it, people want the authentic you, they want to connect with you and the real you, but you also have to be conscious that you're always interviewing, right? It's a full-time interview. Once you put something online and once you became a realtor, you're always interviewing. Everything that you do every moment, you're interviewing for your next sale, for your next client, for your next listing. And that's part of being a magnet. So your messaging is also part of this. Profile, content, and messaging. Is your message when you're posting, hey, I made more money, look at me? Or is your message, I helped another family find their dream home and accomplish the American dream? It's two different things. Quick story that happened a couple months ago. I saw an agent's Instagram post and it said, while everyone's sitting home, I'm out here making money. And like dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. Wrong message, way too soon. And just look at this. If that message would have been, while things are challenging, I've helped this family reach their goal of moving into a better space. Completely different message, right? No one wants to fuel your jet, right? No one wants to help you make more money so you can just put up dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign on social media. No one wants that. They want to work with someone that's helping people, right? They want to work with someone that's in line with what their needs are and not I'm feeding them so they can go out and fly across the world in their private jet. No one wants that. So just be conscious of your messaging. Make it about helping people achieve their goals, helping people out of their home or into a home, versus it's all about me and look at how much money I made, cha-ching, another paycheck. No one wants to see that. So quick tip, everything you do is memorialized online, guys. It's not going away. So look at it as part of your interview, because a seller is going to go back and scroll through your post and see what you're all about. And if they don't like it, you lose the magnet, right? You lose it. They will not be drawn to you. So just remember that. It's all memorialized. It's not going away. One important thing, and I say it is through Zillow, love them or hate them, guys, is you need online reviews. Again, we don't love Zillow, but you have to work with them. They are the toll booth. You have no other way unless you take the local way, which is very painful. So pay the toll, go through Zillow. And the reason why they are one of the best for reviews is the authentication process is very rigorous, and everyone knows that if you get a Zillow review, it's authentic. You are ranked based on your reviews on Zillow. So any zip code or any town, if a seller goes in, and I believe it's, on the homepage, it's buy a home, sell a home, mortgage, and then agent finder. So if I'm a seller and I go on Zillow and I hit agent finder, it then asks me for my town or zip code. If I put that in, Zillow will give me the agents ranked against the reviews. So the more reviews you have, that's part of their algorithm, that's one of the biggest parts, you will show up for free. You don't pay for it, there's no cost, there's no contract, just getting reviews there will help you rank. And you'll also see featured agents that are paying. And it's interesting, because if you guys look this up, the featured agents have a little tiny box, 3 across the top, and then the agents with the reviews will have a whole length of the screen that says how many sales, how many reviews, what they've done in the last year, and then it'll have a quote from their last review, right? So it's focused on agents with reviews. It's the most trafficked website, guys, so you can't avoid them. They are the toll booth. That is also portable. The reviews from Zillow are portable to other sites. Zillow will not allow you to import your reviews from your personal site, from your brand site, or anywhere else. But most of the other sites, including Realtor, will allow you to download and upload the Zillow reviews, because they know Zillow's authentication process is very strenuous and it works. So that review is real. It also powers Trulia, Yahoo Homes, MSN Homes, AOL Homes. So whatever's on Zillow feeds to all these other sites as well. That's why you have to use them. It's free, they're easy to get, and it's really the standard for reviews. Reviews are very, very important. And I know the life cycle of a deal, by the time you get to that closing table, you're happy, you get the check, you give them their gift, you follow up with them once or twice, and you're on to the next client. You really need to get the review. A lot of us have checklists of what happens at the closing or right before the closing, or right after the closing, make sure they have their utility information and making sure they have the keys, etc. Part of that should be making sure each one of those clients gets your review, because that's your testimonial, and that's how clients will know that you're verified. It's kind of the Yelp for realtors. So quick tip, you can get a review if it's a couple you can get more than one review if it's a couple, sorry. And the reason I'm giving you the workaround to this is because if you work with an investor or a builder, it's unfortunate they can only give you a review once. Their authentication process is so strenuous that a builder, an investor, they can only give you one review. So what's the workaround? The workaround is this. If you're working with a couple, once you start to show them homes, one of them can write you a review before you close. So now you get that one review. Then you close, that spouse can then write you the other review that I bought a home with Olivier. So now you have 2 reviews in that zip code, which is going to help you rank better. I had this challenge because I worked with primarily investors and developers, and I can do 10 deals with one person, but because it can't come from the same email, because it can't come from the same computer and IP address, I can only get one review, although I worked with that client 10 times in a year and sold 10 homes. So the workaround is that, to kind of balance it out. But guys, work on your reviews. I can't stress how important that is. Vendors, very, very important. Your outside vendors, you have to ask your outside vendors for business, just as they ask us for business. We all assume everyone knows how we work, and everyone will just refer us because we put our business cards there, or we make a social media post, or every now and then we have a conversation and say, if you know anyone looking to buy or sell, think of me. But no, you have to ask for the business and be very intentional that you need their business, you want their business, you appreciate their business. And all of these vendors are vendors that I've gotten business from. My favorite are accountants. Why? Because they deal with people's money. They know who has money, who's getting a nice tax return, who's in a position to buy, who is working, and who owns a home and doesn't own a home. I love accountants. They've been great to my business. The only problem is I only had, I've had one accountant for most of the last 10 years, so I don't have a different network other than the network he has. But if you know other accountants, they can definitely refer you. But accountants, guys, if you work with anyone, which most of us do, not all of us are doing their own TurboTax, they are a great referral source because they work with a bunch, hundreds, if not thousands of people, and they know their financial situation, if they own a home, etc. So they are a great referral source. Restaurants. I eat out way too much. Guilty as charged. And because I eat out way too much, I built relationships with the restaurants that I frequent, to the point where they either know my number on the caller ID or know my voice that well enough where they know my orders. But because we built this relationship and I supported their business in a great way, they've always looked out, and I've gotten referrals from the restaurant owners. I've worked with some of them buying their own homes. So little things like that that you forget. And yes, I've gone into some of these restaurants and I see cards, but I've never been referred to, or no one's ever talked to me about the guy's cards that's there, not just realtors, but other industries. So you have to be more intentional with your restaurant owner, saying, hey, if you're friendly with anyone, feel free to refer me. I'd appreciate it. I'd love it. I'd love to connect with other business owners that that frequent your restaurant. Contractors. My roofer, about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, helped me land a really nice listing in Westfield. They had interviewed other agents. They made a decision of who they were going with, and they called my roofer to do a new roof because it was suggested that they do a new roof. And he said, well, why are you doing the roof now? You still have a couple more years. And they said, we're selling the home. Guess what he said? You got to call my agent. And they're like, oh, we kind of decided. No, call my agent. Do me a favor, call my agent. Called me. I went in, got the listing, thanks to my contractor. But he's trained. He is trained that if anyone ever says they're updating their house to sell, please have him call me. And I've helped him sell his house, and we have a great relationship. But your plumbers, your electricians, if people are doing these repairs because they're selling. Hopefully they're referring you, but you have to have the conversation to ask for the business. Your landscaper, funny story, my landscaper, which I've done a lot, it's been 12 years I've been working with him. He's done patios. I've referred him a lot of customers. So I told him once, many years ago, when you see for sale by owners, because you're driving around all the time, get me the number and the address and send it to me. I can call them and hopefully, sell their homes. So he actually was doing this, but it was so funny because he would send me like random phone numbers, no town, no street, no address. And I'm like, what is this, Victor? And he would say, oh, it's a for sale by owner. Oh, okay, where is it? I don't remember, I was driving. And I'm like, great. Sometimes the numbers weren't right. And I would have to call and say, hey, I noticed you're looking to sell your home in New Jersey, because I had no other information. But I did train Victor to take photos of the sign and the door or the house, so at least I have something, and he still every now and then will send me those. But again, I trained my landscaper on needing business from him, needing his support as I support his business. Bankers, we're not going into banks as much as we used to, but bankers are another key. When you go in to do a wire, open an account for a kid, whatever it is, bankers are very friendly. And if you go to the bank enough and you've been using the same bank and they know you on a first name basis when you walk in, well, I would hope that you ask them and they reciprocate some business. I've done business with many different people in the banks that I've been using for the last couple of years. My florist has given me referrals. My barbers I've done business with. Car washes, I go to the car wash once a week. The guy knows me on a first name basis. He's referred me business. My insurance reps, they've referred me business, and vice versa. I've referred them business. So guys, support your local businesses, and they will support you too. You do have to, again, have that conversation, but they will support you. And quick tip with this, offer to feature their business. Do a video, right? Write them a review on Google. Do something to help. Make a deposit into that relationship, and then you can make a withdrawal. Do something. Do a video, write a review. You help them, they will work for you. They're going to be your best advocate because they're business owners. One-for-one open houses. This is one of my favorite things to do. And now we're at a point with this climate that we're in with social distancing, et cetera, that open houses and lack of inventory have become this big thing. You have a line of people around the corner, and that's actually something that helps us be the magnet. Sellers kind of understand there's a lack of inventory, but don't really understand. And it looks like you just did an amazing job of marketing the home to get this line of people to wrap around the block. Right? So if you're thinking about selling and your neighbor's house is on the market and that agent or broker does an open house and you see a line of people, you're going to say to yourself, wow, whatever he or she's doing is working. Right? So I call open houses a one-for-one. And what I mean by that is it's intentionally marketed to get you another listing on that block, or at least a listing appointment in that neighborhood for future listings. It's a way to meet more sellers. We know that the likelihood that a buyer is going to walk in and say, I'll take it, is not what really sells the home, but it's a way to meet buyers, but also meet sellers. But you have to be very intentional and strategic about this for it to work. Mail homeowners on both sides of the block a package introducing yourself. You have to be deliberate in getting yourself out there. It does not hurt. Mail them something where you're introducing yourself so they get to know you. Before people do business with you, they have to know you, like you, and trust you. Well, how do they get to know you? Not just because you put the sign in front of the lawn and you've never introduced yourself. That's the introduction. Mail them something. Offer to do a market analysis for them, right? Give them something. Make a deposit in that relationship, although it's new, although you haven't physically met them yet. Make a deposit so when you need to make a withdrawal and ask them for something, hey, I'd love to come over your house and give you a market analysis. If they come to the open house, it's easier to get them to say yes because you've mailed them something, you've been proactive, and the something that you mailed is a little bit about you, a little bit about the market. And they feel like they know you because they got your bio or they got whatever it is you sent them. But definitely mail them something, offer them to stop by, let them know when you're doing the open house. But guys, you got to be prepared. You can't decide on Thursday you're doing an open house for Sunday and get this all done. If you know you're taking a listing, you've gone out, you've gone on the first appointment, they decided to sign, you're working on dates, etc., you're ordering photography, start to plan your open house then. Too many times agents plan the open house on the fly. You know, it's Thursday or Friday, oh, I got to do an open house, I forgot. You have to be more proactive in planning things out so that you get these one-for-ones. Each open house appointment and each open house you do should lead to another listing appointment if you do it right and it's planned out. So that's my one-for-one. Quick tip is to send a follow-up after the open house. A lot of you are already doing this, so kudos. You are mailing something out when you take a new listing. Hey, I just listed this. Hey, here's my bio. I'm inviting you to the open house, or you're knocking on the door, or you're putting it in their door jamb. Great. But not a lot of agents are following up after the open house. Hey, we had great success at the open house. Did you see the line around the corner? Now I have these buyers and there's not enough inventory. Is there a price in which you would sell? Would you like a market analysis? They saw the line. You know, as they were running out, running errands on a Sunday, they saw the line of people, or another neighbor told them about it. So leverage that. After the open house, follow up. It's not the one-time mailer. Remember, I started with that at the beginning on the slides. It's not the one-time thing that's going to work. It's the consistency. And it's these little steps that differentiate you from the other agents. So follow up after the open house, guys. Leading to signage, right? Your open house signs, your regular street signs, your directionals, sorry, I said street signs, your regular signs that are outside. Those outside the homes, those signs matter. I've had sellers ask, are you putting one of those big signs? Because I like those, right? I've never had a seller say, what's the smallest sign you have that's like as low to the ground as possible that it makes it hard for people to see? No one wants that. Your quality of your signs matter. Well, I shouldn't say never. It's rare that you're gonna see a nice luxury listing with that little sign that's like so low into the ground. Invest in your signage. That's your marketing, right? You are the brand for your business. Everything you do is part of that branding and marketing. So those little details matter. If you're at a game, and I know we're not out as much, but if you're at a game and you're social distancing and you have a brand pin on you, you're wearing a realtor hat, you're wearing anything, realtor stuff, you are your billboard at that point. You are your brand. Right? People will know you're an agent, and if you are not conducting yourself in a certain type of way, they may not want to talk to you about real estate. But if you are, and you seem professional, and you seem nice, and you seem friendly, guess what? They will reach out to you, right? If you're at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or Panera, and you're sitting there with your laptop, and you have that realtor thing, you can't be screaming on the phone at people and having it out, because someone there will not call you. You're your brand. So always keep that in mind. People remember faces too. So wrapping your car, guys, all this stuff matters. All those signs that you have, put your face on them, because as you're driving 30, 40 miles an hour, it's hard to read and remember the name. It's hard. But you remember the face. It's very easy for people to remember faces. We've all met someone and said, I've seen you before. Where do I know you from? And it's not from the name, it's from the face. So as much as you can, get your face out there, on your signs, on your business cards. Every listing sign is a billboard. I'm a true believer in that. You know, before billboards became so popular, if you drove down a street in a town and you saw John Doe as a listing agent, then you drove down another street and you saw John Doe, it's the same effect. It's actually better because it reinforces how much market share you have when you have more signs. So take listings as much as possible. And sometimes it gets frustrating where the seller wants to be overpriced. As long as you have the expectation that we will adjust and revisit this if X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, take the overpriced listing within reason, not a couple $100 grand overpriced, but take the overpriced listing because it is a billboard for you. More signs in the ground leads to more listings. Basic metrics. It's a snowball effect, and it's the compound effect of having more signs will show people that you are the market shareholder, you are the dominant player, you're someone actively selling and transacting in that industry, in that town. So when the time comes they will contact you if they need to sell. But you need the signage to get there. That's part of the magnet. Wear realtor gear. You know, always having a pin, always having something that says you're a realtor is so important. Your badge. Quick story, two agents in my office went to lunch downtown Cranford, and one had the badge on. And it was a working lunch, of course, so had her laptop. And the owner of the restaurant walks over and says, "Oh, you're in real estate. I'm interested in a house." And they said, "Great, we could help you." Literally, the owner says, "Well, I already drove by it. Here's the address, and I want to see it." They book an appointment for later that afternoon. They go and show this one house. $800,000 sale later, they close. And then there was an opportunity where he had to sell his current house. He didn't need to sell it right away. He wanted to update the new house, but he had to sell his current house, and I have to follow up with them to see if they got the listing. But from the badge, because if they didn't have the badge, the owner would not have known that they're agents necessarily and may have not approached them. But from that badge, it led to an $800,000 sale and hopefully a listing that they got from it. And now they have this great relationship. And that restaurant owner is going to be an advocate for them forevermore. So guys, that badge, which was what, a $35 investment, whatever they cost, led to an $800,000 sale. I think that's one of the biggest ROIs that I've seen in a long time, right? But you have to be out there asking for the business, and your badge, your pins, etc., having realtor stickers, having your car wrapped or having something on your car, that's asking for the business. So quick tip, most sign companies, when ordering signs, it's the same cost whether you put photos or not. So if possible, have a photo on there, because as people drive by, they'll remember the face and seeing your signs all over town versus being able to read and remember the name. So the compound effect, go deep in one area. If you have the choice, and I get it, you go where the business is. So if your network and sphere is referring you all over the county, all over the state, you have to go, absolutely. But if you have an option to focus on an area, whether you're calling, farming, whatever it is, focus on one area. Don't go wide, go deep. Because that's how the compound effect works. It's the accomplishment of those little goals over time that helps you build this snowball. It's easier to leverage your transactions when you're doing them all in one area, right? If you go on a listing appointment in Cranford or East Brunswick, and most of your business is in one of those towns, it's easy to say, well, I sold 10 homes in Cranford in the last 6 months, or I sold 10 homes in East Brunswick in the last 6 months. Then say, hey, I sold 10 homes between Morristown to Voorhees. I did something in Belmar. So yeah, I'm pretty busy. You know, that doesn't resonate with the seller as much as local. Sellers still believe that it's hyper local. Sellers sometimes still care about where your office is, although especially now this year, they're starting to let go of that. But the magnet is trying to leverage your sales in one area. So go deep in one area instead of going wide. So value every opportunity in your target market. So rentals, open houses, referrals, value every opportunity. I know sometimes agents don't want to work rentals or don't want to take a rental listing because my phone will blow up for the next week or two. Guess what? That rental listing is another sign, AKA billboard, out there for you. That rental listing could become a listing in a year or so when the lease is up, right? The seller may decide he or she doesn't want to own and be a landlord anymore and sell. Your network grows. Now you're dealing with another client that could also refer you other sellers and other landlords who have properties that they sometimes want to sell, especially in today's market with the blockage of evictions. Landlords can't evict. So if a tenant can't pay, landlord can evict. They're frustrated. There's a big bottleneck there. And those rental listings could be key to listings down the line. Open houses. So if you're targeted in one area and someone else in your office has a new listing and they need someone to sit in an open house, or you can proactively ask them, hey Joe, can I go sit this, can I do an open house at your listing? Why? Because it's gonna help you with the compound effect and the snowball effect of you doing more in that area. You'll get to market and meet other neighbors, and leverage that open house, even though it's not yours, to getting a listing appointment, hopefully, or working with another buyer in that town that helps you leverage and snowball. So any opportunity, working with a referral and you have to pay a referral fee, do it. If it's in your target area, it makes sense. You want the compound effect. And social media opportunities. So if you're downtown, if you're at a restaurant local, use that. Hashtag it. Post about it. You're going to the game, you're doing this. Because that's all part of this compound effect. The more you seem local, the more you do locally, the bigger your magnet will be. The more you'll attract sellers to you. But you have to be local. People expect that their agent is local. They sell locally. They sometimes think you need to live locally. You're part of the community. You understand the community because that's how you sell it. So the more things that you can do that are local, you need to. The more opportunities you have, whether it's a rental listing, whether it's doing an open house on someone else's listing in that community, that helps with this compound effect. Shop, dine, spend time in that area. Quick tip and quick good read is this book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's a very good read and it's going to help you understand how to leverage what you're doing in any area of business. So definitely good book to read if someone's looking for something to read or their next read. Stand out as being different. And this is tough, right? Not all realtors are the same. I've heard it all. But how do you differentiate yourself, right? There's thousands of us in every office. There's a lot of other agents, sometimes working in the same exact area. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to know your value. And you have to be able to sell that without bashing anyone else or any other brand. What's your value proposition? How are you different? If I'm a seller and I'm meeting two agents from the same company, independent or big brand, what's the difference with you and that agent? Right? You have to be different. So use different marketing. Again, this goes back to my message a couple slides ago. Just sold. Look at me, I just sold another one, and another one, and another one, versus I helped this family move into this house. I helped this family meet the American dream of being a homeowner. I helped this family through some very challenging hurdles and obstacles to accomplish buying a home. Or I helped this family relocate, enjoy Florida, enjoy the Carolinas, enjoy whatever, right? So that's a different message than another one sold and another one sold. I'm, on fire. That's a completely different message. Stand out is different. We all see it, just listed, just sold, all over social media, and it just becomes a lot. Switch the message up. Think about your friends, if you have friends in the car industry. You just leased a car, and every week they're posting up the deal of the week. That's the same thing that we're doing when we're just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold. If someone's not looking to buy or sell, that message is spam. You're selling them and they don't want to be sold, right? If you're not looking for a car, you just leased something, you're locked in for 3 years, you don't want to see the deal of the week from your friend that's a car dealer because you're not interested in buying a car. But if that car dealer friend or your realtor posted, I helped this family, they're so excited, I'm excited, I love helping people, that's a different message and different positioning than another one and another one. So guys, work on that. Higher quality print. I got solicited by a realtor on an investment property, I opened the mail, and A for effort, but it was like printer quality that looked like it came out of, I forget the name of like the cheap brand of printers that they give for free when you buy a computer. It looked like that, right? It just, the quality was terrible. The paper was like tissue paper, so thin. I give them an A for effort, but I wouldn't be excited as a seller to say, yeah, I want them printing my brochures and for it to look like this. So just make sure you're putting your best foot forward. What's your first impression with that seller? If you're doing an open house, don't wait to the last minute and run to whatever, or your printer's out of ink and you're printing the flyers and the color's off, or you don't have color ink, which happens at home, and you can't print it in color, right? You have to plan these things so you're making a great first impression. Sellers walk into open houses and they look to see what your marketing strategy is. And if it's not great, guess what? They will not call you. So always try to stand out. And guys, if you have any questions, quick reminder, please put them in the chat so I can definitely answer them. As I get towards the end, I'll definitely look at and answer all your questions. And feel free to comment. Let's make this engaging. Always use professional photos. There are some exceptions. The tenants' beds aren't made. There's dishes all over the sink and the countertop. Yes, you can't use those photos. And if it's that type of home, yes, maybe, or it's a hoarder house, maybe you can't. But when opportunity comes, don't take them from your cell phone. There's a couple agents that always share these with me when like the agent obviously took the picture from their car and you see like their finger on the top right, top left corner of the picture, or you see the car window frame, like the car door frame, and we're like, come on, why would you publish this? Like, get out the car, right? Use professional photos. We're not photographers, guys, and it matters. I've had sellers call me, and I always ask, I always track this. After you get the listing, you start to dig a little deeper. By the way, why'd you choose me? What was the difference? Why'd you call me, etc. After you've asked, and after you've got the listing signed, and it's been, I like your photos. You always write a description. You sold a lot of homes in the area. But photos, description, those things have come up time and time again. So I was always a believer in whether it's a distressed property, as long as it showed well, get professional photos. The quality of your marketing is represented in your photos. And if I can tell it's a cell phone, the seller can tell, why would they call you, right? If it's gonna be a cell phone photo, or they're giving you the photos that they took themselves, why do they need you? Be a professional, get professional photos, leave it to the experts. Signs are part of your marketing. As I mentioned before, I've yet to see a seller say, how small is your sign? Because that's what I want, right? But I've had sellers ask, oh, do you have those big signs? They stand pretty tall, I like those, right? So signs are part of your marketing. Be consistent. It's a small investment. You're not buying signs every week. You buy them in a bundle, and guess what? If you have to buy more, that's a good problem to have that you should be thankful for, right? If you have to buy more signs. So invest in signage because that's your marketing. Make sure it's the best quality. I like to say any one of your signs should be able to be used on a $300,000 listing or $900,000 listings, because you should be consistent. Now, of course, you have a luxury, over the top, maybe you have a completely different sign for that. But your standard listings should be the same, and not, oh, I'm gonna use the small one because this is a cheaper house. Don't do that. Invest in high quality signs, because the sellers will notice, well, that guy has nicer signs. Let me call him first than the one I can't even read. So, buyer metrics. I love this conversation. I have it way too often, but I get this conversation all the time, which is, hey, Olivier, I just realized what I want to do. I realized what I want to focus on. I want to become a listing agent. And I get it more with new agents, right? They figured something out. They reinvented the wheel. They just figured out the shortcut. Wait a minute, I just become a listing agent. And I say I love these conversations because I have the whole conversation mapped out A to Z where it's going to end, and I could do it with my eyes closed because I've done it way too often, which is this. Great, I'll help you. Are you ready to start cold calling and door knocking? Look, how many calls can you make a day? 100, 150, 125, 70? What do you will? Let's start making calls. I'll tell you the questions to ask. Let's do this. And they're like, oh, well, I don't really like cold calling, and door knocking's not my thing. Okay, great. Well, what's your budget? How many thousands can you invest into farming and marketing? And we'll set you up and let's go. Thousands of dollars, wait, I don't really have thousands of dollars. I figured there was another way. Okay, so you're not gonna cold call, you're not gonna door knock, you don't have money to blitz the market in marketing, and you just wanna walk through some door and become a listing agent. Well, I figured you could help me with that. And my answer is this: yes. The more buyers you work with, the more homes you sell, the more referrals you get because you grow your network, and the more listing referrals you get. And over time, those buyers wind up selling their home. So if you're not willing to do cold calling, door knocking, and blitzing the market with marketing, how do you become a listing agent? How do you become the magnet that sellers are drawn to? Sell more homes, period. The more homes you sell, it's like the greater than sign, right? And I think the last time I had this conversation, I just drew the greater than sign like 5 times across a piece of paper. And I said, the more homes you sell, the more people you have in your network, the more you follow up with them, the more referrals you get, which will also be seller referrals, and the more they will sell their home with you over time. And I said, if you flip that paper around and it becomes the less than sign, the less buyers you sell homes to, the less people you have in your network, the less contacts, the less amount of referrals you have, which will lead to less listings. And it's that simple. If you're not willing to cold call, door knock, or blitz the market with marketing, which is very, very expensive. So sell more homes. It absolutely leads to more listings. Absolutely it does. 100%. Very simple. And what I like about this method is you're getting paid as you're doing this. You sell a home, you get paid. A couple years later, or literally, I think a week ago, one of our agents reached out to me. She sold a home 2 months ago. It closed in Garwood. And this home stands out because it's on my way to work. So I used to see her sign. So I saw when the sign went away. And they just called her that they got a job promotion and relocation, and now they need to sell that home. But if she didn't work with that buyer, that listing would not be coming up. And it's happened to me. Pequannock, give you a quick story. Only time I've sold in Morris County, Pequannock, New Jersey, maybe about 5 years ago, I sold this high-end home. It was $869, really nice couple. He worked for HP, lived in Connecticut, moved to Pequannock, never heard of it. Bought the home with me in January. In May, he called. Soon as the school year was ending, yeah, you know what, I don't really like it here. It's a nice enough neighborhood and subdevelopment, but I think I'll just tough it out and commute from Connecticut to the city instead of here. I was on a lake, I still have that home, and I want to sell. So the $869 became an $899, and I sold it. Guys, that is, a one-off scenario, but that was amazing. But had I not wanted to go to Pequannock, which was a little bit of a hike, had I been tunnel vision, I only want to work with sellers and not buyers, that opportunity to do $1.6 million, $1.7 million in business would not have been there for me. So work with buyers. It will lead you to sellers. And most of your first-time buyers will buy 2 homes with you in your career, sometimes 3, depending on how long you're an agent and what their cycle is, but at least 2. Because your first-time buyers will buy something. But then they'll realize it's too far of a commute, or situations change, their family grows, or they want a nicer house, or they want to be closer to friends or family, or they want to be down the shore. Something will happen, and they will buy another home, hopefully with you, and sell that home. And then eventually they wind up selling that home again because they need to downsize, they're empty nesters, they're moving out of state. Unfortunately, split ups happen, breakups happen, they need to sell. But most of your buyers will either sell 2 homes with you, refer you a seller, and eventually sell at least 1 home with you. Something will trigger that they need to sell, want to move, want to upgrade, and they will refer you or maybe work with you again as a repeat seller. But you have to work with the buyer first. No shortcut, guys, no gimmicks. You have to put in the work. And one of the most magnetic calls you're going to receive is when a past client calls you and says, hey, I'm looking to sell, we want to move. That's the magnet. Part of the magnet is you have to work with buyers, right? You work with buyers, they become sellers. We've all gotten those calls. They're great. They're the best calls you got. Talk about a smile on your face. No matter what happened that day, you get that call and you're like, this is why I'm an agent. Because it's exciting. There's rapport. You know you're going to sell this. Wonder what they're looking to buy. Awesome. You're counting the dollars already. I'm going to update my kitchen once this closes. You're like excited. That's the magnet. If you did not work with them on the buy side, they are not calling you. So fine print to this is you have to follow up. You have to follow up. You can't be the one and done. I sold you a house. You never hear from me. There is some follow-up involved. There is some work involved. You have to keep in touch. You have to work with them and you have to stay in touch, guys. So switching gears to a little bit of social media. Very important. Post often. I know I said this already. Balance your posts between work and life. It can't be all work. You can't be spamming your sphere, your network, your social media contacts. You cannot spam them. It cannot be all work all the time. You have to balance it out. People buy people. Be authentic. It can't be the highlight reel of your life. You're not out at dinner every other night only. You're not only at the mall. You're not only doing all these exciting things. You know, don't only post when you go on vacation or you're out at bars. It needs to be a balance and not just a highlight reel. Be authentic. Use systems to schedule your post if you're very busy. Some people use social media but don't love it. I'm one of them. I understand because I've quantified how much money I've made from social media, and I did that many years ago, and I realized, love it or hate it, I have to use it. But I have systems around it. You know, I have scheduled posts that happen. So I'm not as involved, and I get it. It's a rabbit hole sometimes. You can say, oh, let me just see if there's anything new, and an hour later, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I just spend my hour on? So you schedule posts. You're not having to go in there as much. Measure what works. If you're posting stuff about work, see what's engaging, see what's getting the interaction. So that way, if it's not working, you're not constantly using the same type of post that aren't working. Measure it, use hashtags, see if you get a difference. With Instagram, it does say like view your, sorry, it's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember what it looks like, but you could view your activity or your results from a post, and you can see if how many came from hashtags, how many came organically, how many came from your network, but measure and see what works. Train yourself to scan and unfollow anyone that's distracting to you, because you can go down the rabbit hole and an hour later look up, it's like I got no work done and I've just been scrolling or watching these videos. So if you find that there's a lot of distraction, you should unfollow. That doesn't mean you're not friends, but unfollow or mute the post of certain things that are distractions. When you want on some off time, you can go directly to their page and see. But what that allows is you're looking at the relevant posts from your past buyers, from your clients that you're working with, and it allows you to focus and work with them, right? And interact with them, comment on their post, engage with them. So if there is someone that posts all these videos that you go down a rabbit hole on, mute them or unfollow them. And when you want to see what they've posted, you go directly on some off time and you do that. So you can train yourself and you can make a process where you're using social media and you're not going down the rabbit hole every single time. If you're not using video, start using video. You know, it's not been a year since I've been doing video, and now I'm doing these virtual trainings. I'm recording video a lot more frequently. I'm not always comfortable with it, you know, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and you get to a point where you just run with it. You're going to eat a word, you know, you're gonna stumble here and there, but that's part of the authenticity, right? That's part of you being you. And whether it's on video or in person, if you're gonna stumble, you're gonna stumble on a word. So it happens, it's life. You care about it way more than other people. So if you're not doing video, double down, start using video. Upgrading and downsizing your past clients. This is a really good proactive step to do. So attracting your buyers to upgrade their homes. So you sold John Doe a house, you're doing an open house, or someone in your office has a nice new listing and you ask them, can you do an open house? Invite John Doe. If you know that that house is nicer and it's what John was really looking for, why not invite him to the open house? Even if he's not in the market, hey, great way to catch up. I'm gonna be a couple blocks over, or I'll be in town doing an open house. I'd love for you guys to come by, we'll catch up, it would be great to see you. Then they get there and they're walking around like, I wish I had that. This is amazing. What's this priced at? How are you, by the way? And it starts to get the wheels spinning, right? So you can create buyers from your past clients that will be the magnet to them selling, because they're gonna have to sell in order to buy. You can attract the same with people that need to downsize. And if you pay attention to social media, this is why social media is part of the strategy. If someone mentions getting a promotion, moving out of state, if someone has a life-changing situation, that is a telltale sign that they're probably going to move. Downsizing, relocating, if it's a breakup, guess what? They might sell that house, buy two others, who knows? But you have to pay attention. And if you're paying attention and you're engaging, you can definitely create buyers and sellers and be the magnet from that. Offer assistance. So in this time that we're in, with the courts closed and landlords not being able to evict, I would call every single one of my landlord clients, every single person that I did a rental with. Why? Because they're in a tough time. Tenants are not paying, they can't evict. It's frustrating. Be a helping hand. Find out what their options are. Find out what the dates are. Find out what the process is. Do a little research. Reach out to them. And if you do, there's going to be landlords that says, you know what, I can't deal with this. I'm frustrated. Sell it. You don't even have to call like, hey, are you thinking about selling? Say, hey, how's everything going with your tenants? I heard that the courts are closed. I actually found out X, Y, and Z. How's everything going for you? And if they're frustrated, they will say, sell it, right? And if you see their social media posts, I can't believe this, courts are still closed, reach out and just say, hey, is there anything I could do to help? Do you need an attorney to help with that eviction? And a lot of times they will say, sell it. That's the magnet, guys, but you have to pay attention. And last, the First app, for those of you who have access to it, it's amazing. It really reads the activity of your network and what they're doing online. And through AE, it will tell you this person is likely to sell. And this is not a gimmick, but it is a CRM on steroids, because it's interpreting their actions and telling you now is the time to reach out because they're highly likely to sell. So I look at this as, you know, part of a CRM. If you have First app access to it, definitely it's worth the small investment. It's under $500 for the year. I would definitely look into that. So, being available, guys, and again, any questions, please type them in. You have to make yourself available. You have to answer the phone. Your tone matters, right? How you answer the phone, if you're doom and gloom or stressed out, or you're not so friendly, or you're just a hello, that seller's first impression of you will not go over well. Your interaction with other agents, everything, your tone, all of it matters. So make yourself available, not only by answering, but also someone that I want to interact with and I want to communicate. I just talked about this on Tuesday, picking up phone numbers that you don't know. I've seen it in every single real estate office. You're having to talk about a deal and you're explaining, here's what's going on this crazy deal I have, and the phone rings and they'll look at it and it's like, oh, I don't know who that is. I'll call them back. Or let me see if they leave a message. Guys, that could be a seller. And this day and age of everyone using cell phones and they got relocated, some people are using the cell phone number that they got from college that was out of state, or they're relocating from whatever state that their job was at and moved them up here to New Jersey. You don't know what these out-of-state numbers are or these non-local numbers, and you should pick it up. A lot of these sellers will not leave you a voicemail, and agents are notorious for having full voicemail boxes that even if they wanted to leave you a voicemail, they couldn't. That's more of a reason why you should pick up the phone, especially when you don't know the number. Because if it is someone that's stored in your phone, it's easier to communicate with that person. You probably can text them, you know who they are, you know how to reach them. So pick up the phone. Being able to leave you a message, which I talked about, matters. Absolutely. You have to be open for business. I call it not being open for business. If your voicemail box is full and I'm a seller or buyer and I called you and I couldn't leave a message, what do you think I'm going to do? Keep calling you, or I would just call the next agent? Because if I can't leave you a voicemail and you're representing me and a buyer calls and they can't leave you a voicemail, that's not good for me. So I get it. Voicemails are antiquated to some. They're frustrating to listen to. And you just call the person back, but you got to clean up your voicemail boxes. Your grammar matters online. You know, your profile, how you describe listings. Fun fact, I was made fun of at my office for my descriptions. You know, Pottery Barn inspired, this and that. And I'd write these like elaborate descriptions, and then the agents would like Google the property and it faces the parkway or backs to a train or some commercial area, and they'd be like, come on. But sellers were attracted to it. I've had sellers say, yeah, I like your photos, you're consistent, they all look great, all your marketing. I like that you write descriptions, and I know about the homes. Too many of these homes, they don't have information online. So all that matters. Proofread, because I've seen listing descriptions not proofread, and it's not pretty. Your response time matters, right? We know that communication is one of the biggest issues that consumers have with realtors. We take days and days and days to get back, if we get back. So communicate. Don't wait to check your voicemails once the voicemail box is full and someone tells you. Listen to those voicemails daily so that you can respond in time. I'm sure, because it's happened to me many, many years ago, where I got a voicemail and I checked it 3 days later or 2 days later, and it was a client or someone new reaching out to me because they wanted to do business with me, and I called and they're like, oh no, I already spoke to someone else. You could only blame yourself. So your response time matters, and the details matter. This entire puzzle is all about those little details. Everything from your content, your marketing, what your profile says about you, to differentiating yourself as a realtor and being different, having different marketing, to being consistent, right? To doing these little steps day in and day out so that the puzzle all pieces together. So it's all these little details. There's no magic pill, there's no door, there's no listing agent university that you go through and just magically you're a listing agent. It's doing these simple little things. Little hinges swing big doors, and over time, the more consistent you are, you get the compound effect, and it snowballs into the magnet. And that's how I became the magnet when I was focused on selling. So I would definitely encourage you to follow these little steps, be consistent, and it will work. I'm gonna look at a couple quick questions. If anyone has anything, please type it in. So I'm reading the comments now. A lot of good mornings, thank you. Z's comment, good info. Remember a client many years ago got angry with the sales rep for flaunting her new Mercedes-Benz, so she stopped giving her orders. Yeah, that was my point of, it's not the Aston Martin, guys. It's not the new car that's gonna get you the business. And to a lot of working class people, when you go in there pulling up in your shiny new car, and you are then asking them to pay 6%, which could be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and they're like, to sell my home? It's sticker shock. And that could be the reason you lose listings. So you gotta be careful. Yes, to your point, Z, that does happen. With Zillow becoming its own brokerage firm, how does these reviews work for agents? Guys, I don't know a ton about it, but yes, Zillow is moving into the space. My understanding is it's more for their iBuyer platform, and they're not launching a nationwide retail business the way we are. They're not becoming a direct competitor. It's more for their iBuyer platform, which allows them to buy homes and then resell them, capture back some of that commission. That's what they're looking to do. For now, they're still the standard for reviews because they authenticate it better than anyone else. So I would still use them. Of course, you can copy the reviews, you can export them, put them on your website, put them on your brand's website, store them somewhere. I think everyone should be doing that because, yes, if in 10 years, 5 years, who knows, if ever, they pull the plug and switch things up, you want to have all that stuff banked. So yes, for now, I would still go to them. Google reviews are also gaining traction, but I think for clients, sellers, looking to sell their home, they're landing on Zillow. They're the most trafficked real estate website, and I think for now, they are still the player in that space. And I don't love them more than you do, but you can't avoid them. So another question is, the reviews are free, no reason not, yep, perfect. Can we refer back to this video? Yep, I'm reading a question from Mark. Can we refer back to this video after the session? Yes, if you need the video and the slides, I will definitely provide. And, you can, Mark, to your question, you can use the same link to rewatch it. So thank you. You can use the same link to rewatch it. So guys, Carl's comment, yes, I got made fun of by Carl, by the way, very often on my descriptions. So thanks for being honest about that, Carl. He was my biggest critic of descriptions. So I have text messages to prove it too. But guys, if that is not it, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, you know, it's very simple what to do, but it's just not easy to be consistent. But if you guys stay consistent with these little steps, the puzzle comes together, the magnet gets bigger, and you're gonna draw in sellers. So thanks again. Don't see any questions. Guys, get out there, become the magnet. Any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks again. Happy selling.